Peace and welcome into the latest episode of Men of a Certain Age, The Soup. As always, I'm Fro. I got my man UHDL up on the top, pause. And then we got my man P Double, Panero, aka P Ice over there to the left. Peace to the gods, man.
Peace.
So how was your week? How was your 7 days since the last time we chopped it up?
Very good. Absolutely zero complaints. P Valley was here Thursday and Friday, so we had to hit the road again. But it was a good week. No complaints. I did something special this week I want to tell y'all boys about a little bit later on in the show. But yeah, overall the week was good. I don't complain anyway. So
it don't do no good because ain't nobody listening for real.
Exactly.
Panero, man, how was your 7 days?
Yo, man, why y'all ain't tell me that the New York State of Mind concert was on Prime?
Oh yeah.
What?
Yeah. It's been on Prime for damn near almost.
I didn't even know.
I saw the shit when it actually previewed. They was out in Seattle, right?
I put it on last night. I was like this the whole night in front of the TV, getting it in. My sciatic nerve is on the outside of my body, getting it in at the same time. Then I woke up the next day, my whole after lay down, my shit was hurting. I rocked the whole concert from De La to Wu to Nas. Then it came back Wu and Nas again. I'm like, yo. It's 2 a.m. I'm in the, you know what I'm saying? I'm getting it in.
Oh, gotta love it.
It's been on Amazon Prime for, like I said, close to 6 months because I saw it actually when they did it live. So yeah, it's been out there for a while. Yeah, definitely worth your viewing pleasure to go to Prime Video and check out the New York State of Mind. Our favorites with the Wu, Nas Escobar, De La. You know what I'm saying? When they came to Nashville, it was the same show, but Talib was actually with De La.
Yeah, Talib was with De La. Same in Seattle. Yeah, same thing.
Okay, all right, no doubt about it. But yeah, since the last time we chopped it up and cooked up this soup, a lot of stuff went down these past 7 days. First and foremost, we got to chop it up about the presidential debate that went down on Thursday night. That was some very interesting and interesting and alarming events that went on Thursday night. Also, man, we're gonna talk a little bit about Jamal Bowman. We shouted out Bowman about maybe 4 pods ago. We shouted out Jamal Bowman for his reparations bill. Come to find out, 4 or 5 episodes later, he lost his primary in New York. So we're gonna build about that as well. Also, UH and P, I don't know if y'all have seen it. I tell all the time, my TL is on fire, man. It stays on fire with the hottest shit. You know what I'm saying? And this week, I'm not gonna say this week, the last couple weeks, my line has been buzzing about Bill Gates buying up all this farmland throughout the United States, producing his own foods. That's crazy. From what I've seen, some of his food is already in the stores. So we have definitely got to build about that. And then as we continue on the soup, the fucking hillbillies from West Virginia, yo. Can you believe this? In 2024, we got people out here adopting African-American children and actually putting them to slave labor, pardon self. So we're definitely gonna build on that topic. And we're gonna talk about also how you feel about different races adopting different races. So we're definitely going to build about that. And also here on Men of a Certain Age, The Soup, we are sports fans from the top to the bottom, from racing cars to golf, from basketball to swimming, from track and field to soccer. You name it, we talk about it. So this past week, Don, your crew has been in the news. Before I get to Don's crew, man, shout out to them New York Knickerbockers, Lord. You see what we out here doing? We out here making trades, shaking and baking, making big moves, re-signing boys. OG, the original gangster, is back in the building, man. The East is gonna be hell, but I digress. We going back to you and your crew, the Lake Show. They hired a new coach, and right out of the bat, this dude showed his white privilege right off the muscle. He didn't wait no time. In his introductory speech to Laker Nation, he pulled his privilege card, and we definitely got to build on that. And then last but not least, with the Lakers, we had LeBron James Jr. being drafted in the NBA. We've heard that term nepotism and how it affects people and how people use it to their benefits. So we're going to talk about all of that. We're going to talk about JJ Redick and his privilege, and we're also going to talk about nepotism and how it's fair or is it foul. So we're going to talk about all of that here on this particular episode of The Soup. But first things first, we're going to go back to Thursday night. And on Thursday night, we had President Biden debating with Agent Orange, Mr. Donald Trump. If I ain't lying, I ain't trying. You know what I'm saying? So what I want to do is this, man, is we're going to go to the real. It's a couple clips. Your man, Chris Como, he has a little breakdown of the debate. We got not Van Lathan, but Van Jones. Van Jones. We got a take from Van Jones. And then also, no, you don't like it for reasons that me and P know. But we're going to visit Roland Martin, man, because whatever happens, Roland is going to be talking about the culture and keeping it real and within the culture. So what I want to do is this. We're going to go ahead and jump into this little cut of some of the takes from the debate, and then we're going to come back and we're going to chef up some of this soup, man.
If either of you performed the way either of them performed tonight, you'd be out of a job, okay? And I don't even think you'd complain about it. The bar has gotten so low that my hope that for all you guys at home who are watching this, you looked at that stage, you saw a guy who's a sick man, and you saw a guy who's arguably a bad man on the stage at the same time. And I really hope the conclusion is a resounding, we have to do better than this. These two men are an embarrassment to the United States of America. That debate was an embarrassment. I actually felt bad for the moderator. I don't even know what there was to follow up on. They weren't making any sense. Trump, too. When he's not making things up, he's making things worse. He didn't say a single positive thing about the United States of America except that he's great the whole night. Biden is clearly past it, okay? Now, will Biden see that? Will he listen? Because look, Trump's not going anywhere, okay? Trump's the nominee.
He's leading in the polls.
But he's not going anywhere. So let's put that to the side. Biden's an open question. Is it true? You'll hear some people tonight saying, I've heard the Democrats are waiting for tonight. I think that's all BS. I've never heard anybody that bundles money for the DNC, and they are the people who know, okay? They are the people who say what's going to happen, that they were looking at tonight for whether or not they'll make a move on Biden. It's not going to happen. And a convention would be chaos if it were open. But Joe Biden has to make a decision.
But that's exactly right.
He decides.
He's got to listen, and he's got to look, and he's got to talk to his wife, and he's got to think. If I really believe that Donald Trump is a danger to the American people, and you know what? That case can be made. That case can be made, especially based on what I saw tonight.
He did not do well at all. And he looked, I'll give you the analysis, kind of have the old man versus the con man. Walk you through how I'm supposed to see it and say it, but I just want to speak from my heart. I love that guy. That's a good man. He loves his country. He's doing the best that he can, but he had a test to meet tonight to restore confidence of the country and of the base, and he failed to do that. And I think there's a lot of people who are going to want to see him consider taking a different course now. We're still far from our convention. And there is time for this party to figure out a different way forward if he will allow us to do that. But that was not what we needed from Joe Biden. And it's personally painful for a lot of people. It's not just panic, it's pain of what we saw tonight.
Here's the thing, it's two old white guys, no matter what. That's what the nation's going to see. And for those who are tuning in for the first time tonight, it's going to be a lot, first of all, it's going to be a lot of people who've been watching all along. And then it's going to be a few new people who show up. It's two old white guys. So the thing that Joe Biden needs to do tonight is frame this as, you aren't just voting about me, but you're voting about two different types of governments. Right. And that's what he needs to do to reframe this, because quite frankly, a lot of people want to see the circus. They don't care about statesmen. Yep. So Joe Biden has to bring it home and say it is a difference between a chaotic government or a government that's trying to move the country forward.
The question is, yeah, it's two white guys, but there's one white guy that has been trying to uplift the country, who has put in place policies that have actually changed dynamics inside of our communities. Still a huge amount of work that needs to happen. but resources have finally made it to our community. Then you have, on the flip side, another old white guy, 3 years younger, who never had a policy that uplifted anyone in the Black community. Now, they'll talk about opportunity zones, and then when you unpack that, you find out that there's no truth that's there.
Nothing.
So that doesn't mean that whether you're talking about Biden, the work that still needs to happen, and the mistakes that he may have made, but there is a huge difference between Biden and Trump.
Okay, this gentleman was stating about the policies and things that Biden has set forward that have been tangible. You've talked about in the pod in the past about how outside your home you have sidewalks now due to the infrastructure bill, right? You mentioned that in the past. So that's something tangible that you as a voter can actually see, touch, and feel, right?
Exactly.
So when we go back to the debate, now you and I text, the three of us text during the debate. As you see the breakdown from Cuomo, the breakdown from Van Jones, and the pre-debate party with Roland, the expectations were set with Roland them on what they thought Biden should do in this particular debate, compare and contrast. Obviously, after seeing the debate, President Biden wasn't able to articulate or compare and contrast the way Roland and his panel wanted. Now, when you watched the debate, what was your takeaways? And after it was done, over and done, what did you think needed to be done?
It's interesting because I didn't avoid, but I didn't work in my office on Thursday. And the reason why is because I work way in Gwinnett County. I live in South Atlanta. Biden was coming in from the north, Trump was coming in from the south. So traffic was not going to be anything to play with. So I took a day off and did some running around the city, took care of some business that way. I say that to say is that I actually sat down, and me and Jade actually sat down and watched the debate from beginning to end. We were anticipating it. And literally the moment Biden stepped on the stage and took his second step, I knew something was wrong because he was moving like a zombie. He was moving like he was old. And then granted, he's old and Trump is old, but he actually looked old. Mentally, his facilities were off, you could tell. His speech was weak, slow, confusing, rambling at times. Trump lied 30 times, so I'm not going to even, that really just is all that needs to be said. But the problem that we need to solve for people who are trying to save democracy, not necessarily Democrats or Republicans or people who support Biden or not, but for people who are trying to save democracy, the fact that his performance was so abhorrent makes people want to consider not even voting. That's really what I've heard a lot of people say. Listen, I can't vote for Biden because he doesn't know what he's doing, and I definitely can't vote for Trump, so I'm just not going to vote. Obviously, we know about the historical and relative things that go along with voting, so we're not going to get into that. And I'm going to try to persuade everybody, and I always will say, vote. No matter who you vote for, your best interest, vote for the interests of the people around you.
That take makes no sense whatsoever if you understand what is on the line and what's at stake right now. But continue.
I completely agree with that. I think that probably, and I told someone this a few months ago, strategically, if I was the Democratic Party, I would find someone or elevate to the presidential status at the convention. I would do it at the convention because that way I would have Joe tap out at the convention. Literally, I would have him tap out in front of everybody and throw support behind somebody else. That would be the best way to do it because clearly in about 6 months, he's going to be a victim of the 25th Amendment. In order to really take the time to secure this election with all the stakes that are there against this maniac, they need to probably find someone who is a better representation of strength than Joe is at this point.
So, yeah, man, let me just say, I tuned in wanting to see what the outcome was going to be. I know there was going to be two old white men that took the stage. As I said in the text in the beginning, it was like he was trying to get his points across so hard that he was just talking super fast. I'm like, yo, slow the fuck down. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
Mhm.
And as I watched it, and then you listen to Trump, and Trump makes no sense whatsoever in anything that he says. You know, so for them to, as bad as Joe Biden was, Trump was just down the street, around the corner. But let's not make it seem like it was 110 to 20. If anything, if we scoring it, it was fucking 95, 85, 95, 90. If we scoring it from home. I, like you, Don, was very interested in it, but I could only watch at least a good 30 minutes of it because my anxiety for Biden to be more than what he was, I couldn't take it. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't sit up there and just watch him struggle like he was. I had to cut away, man. But at the end of the day, I'm still voting for him if he is the Democratic nominee. P, when you listened to or watched the debate, what was some of the hard takeaways you had?
We all grew up playing sports. We all had coaches. Some coaches were loud, some of them were quiet, but I was always taught to listen to what they're saying, not how they're saying it. Now, the optics of what the debate, what we saw was Biden didn't look good, man. He didn't look good at all. He didn't sound good. You know what I'm saying? He looked horrible. And Trump was extremely coherent with his lies. They were loud. Loud lies. You know what I mean? But you were able to understand the lies. But I think what it is just that the American people, the majority of the American people, those who don't really not have knowledge, are looking for a hero. You know what I'm saying? They're looking for Captain America. And Joe doesn't emulate that at all at this point. But if you're smart enough to vote for substance instead of lies in WWF style, you're going to vote blue because it's your interest. That's what your self-interest. Because Trump he's a dangerous individual. And he went up there and he talked about himself. He didn't say anything about the country and what he was going to do regarding policy or anything of that nature. He's on a revenge tour, and it's not going to be good for the American people if he gets into office. So again, what we say here on Men of a Certain Age, you got to vote. You got to get out and vote, man. Because even if you feel like the optics of what you saw in the debate was an older man, Trump ain't that much younger, They're only, 3 years apart? You got to vote for policy, not person. So that's where I'm at now. I couldn't see myself voting for a guy who's only about himself and doesn't have any policies for the people at all.
Trump constantly shows you who he is. You don't have to guess or wonder who he is. He's a liar, a thief, and a racist, amongst other things.
The thing is, bro, not to interrupt you, but on my way to my black job, I was trying to figure out what is a black job? What is a black and Latino job? That shows that you're racist because you feel like black jobs are low-income jobs and that people are going to be coming from migrating to this country illegally for the low-income jobs. They're going to take your black jobs. They're going to take your Latino jobs. Now, what kind of shit is that? That's showing you that no matter how much you're trained to debate, your racism is just it's gonna come out, and it always does with him.
And that's exactly where I was going, Lord.
Oh, I'm sorry, bro.
No, it's all good. That's why you my alike, because you knew where I was going with this. It's incredible that he gets up there and says that the Latinos are going to come in and take the black jobs. The black job is Isaac from the Love Boat. On a friendly shore. Is that a black job? You know what I mean? What's the definition of a black job? That's what I say, man. The man is going to show you who he is every time he opens his mouth.
He's a maniac.
A fucking liar and a racist. And to the Democratic Party, man, get your shit together, man. I was telling my whiz. It's one thing about the GOP and the Republican Party. They're gonna walk in one straight
They're gonna
step.
stick together too.
They're gonna take their marching orders and they're gonna stay on that rail. It might stink and smell as bad as it, however, but they still gonna stay in that room and they're gonna continue to stay on track. But the Dems have 7 different factions. You know what I mean? You got the squad, you got Nancy Pelosi and her people, and they all over the place. And we're gonna talk about more about the Democratic Party in this next topic as we continue on, as we head to the election season in November. Next thing we're going to talk about is Jamal Bowman, who lost his primary in the city. So let's go ahead and show this clip of Bowman, and then we're going to come back and build on the soup.
News projects that Westchester County, New York Executive George Latimer has defeated incumbent Jamal Bowman in last night's Democratic primary. The race for New York's 16th district was the most expensive House primary in U.S. history. A focus of Latimer's campaign was condemning Congressman Bowman's criticism of Israel's war with Hamas. For more on last night's primary results, New York and elsewhere, I want to bring in Hunter Woodall. Hunter, why was this race so expensive? I know New York is an expensive media market, but give the viewers a sense of how much money was spent, how much by the campaigns, and how much by outside forces.
Major, this primary was obviously very contentious amongst Democrats, and it's always hard to beat an incumbent, but you saw millions and millions in outside spending. You talked about obviously the factor that Israel as an international affairs issue was in this race. The United Democracy Project, a super PAC affiliated with the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, spent over $14 million trying to oust Bowman, according to Ad Impact. That's a lot of money. That was obviously more than the majority of the spending in this race. But it shouldn't be lost. Bowman had also taken some contentious votes that went against other Democrats at times. It can't be forgotten. He voted against the bipartisan infrastructure law. That was a major part of, obviously, President
Bowman didn't want you to have them
So
sidewalks, UH.
those stands against
See?
the groundwork for what we saw last night.
The shorthand for this race was a moderate against a progressive, but Latimer says, hey, wait a minute. I'm a progressive. I'm just not where Bowman is.
That's what in Congress. Bowman is a member of the group that refers to themselves as the
The
squad.
squad, yes.
And obviously, the squad can take very lonely stands in Democratic politics sometimes. And it shouldn't be forgotten, too. There are other members of the squad who have primaries later this year, including Cory Bush in Missouri and Ilhan Omar in Minnesota. So we might yet see this testing of progressives continue out throughout the summer.
A lot of people are saying that the reason why Jamal lost his election was because of AIPAC. I disagree. Meet Congresswoman Summer Lee from Pennsylvania. When it comes to her district, she has one of the largest Jewish populations in Pennsylvania. Summer Lee also spoke out against Israel. AIPAC, along with other pro-Israel groups, when it came to Lee and her primaries, they tried to come after her, but they backed down because she has strong support in her district. She supports most of Biden's domestic agenda, and she's willing to work across party lines. They also admitted that she has proven to be sensitive towards some of their concerns. Congressman Dave Min from California, he's not a squad member, but he too has been a critic of Israel. So AIPAC came after him during his primaries, and he was reelected. Once again, Jamal has one of the largest Jewish population in his district. When you make comments like this, you alienate your voters. For an example, J Street is a left-wing Jewish lobbying group who supported Jamal, but because of his rhetoric, they took their endorsement away. Some are saying that the infrastructure bill had nothing to do with infrastructure. That's a lie. So when he voted no against rebuilding roads and bridges in his district, when it comes to George Latimer, guess what? His face is extremely well known. He's been in local politics for over 35 years. The man wasn't playing. He was knocking on every damn door that he could knock on. You cannot forget about your constituents. You have to be able to work with them, not just a few. Summer Lee did it. Dave Min did it. You have to take care of your voters.
Panero, Congressman Jamal Bowman.
I think when you were involved in politics in a specific area like he's in, where there's a lot of Jewish population, you have to be careful. I know the feelings you have within with the war between Israelis and the Palestinians. I agree with your feelings regarding that. But sometimes some of those things you have to put on the back burner for your actual constituents, your actual voting, your actual voters. When you go against someone, when you go against the Jewish community, that's the majority of a large part of this community. Of course, AIPAC is coming. You know what I'm saying? So they're going to put money into getting rid of you. Now, you should probably see that coming. But obviously, he seems like the type of person who is going to be with his convictions. This is how I feel. This is how it's going to be. And I'm not going to budge from that. And in some instances, that's a good way to be as a person. But as a politician, you have to be careful with that. And politics is tricky. If you are in an area where you know that a lot of the people and you're representing are Jewish, and like she said in the last clip you showed, Fro, Jewish leftists, you have to make sure you have them in mind when you say certain things that you say, because they have a lot of money when it comes to AIPAC. And my thoughts on AIPAC, I'm sorry, just a sidebar, is I think that should be illegal because they're actually a foreign entity influencing politics in the United States. What is it, $20 million to influence?
14.
Oh, 14? Okay.
14 from that pack, 22 as a whole.
Right. Which is the American, American Israel Public Affairs Commission. You get to use money from Israel to impact what's going on in this country, which again, that's illegal. They're a foreign entity. So you can blame AIPAC, but you have to look within yourself as a public government official in New York. You got to be like, wait, I got to weigh all my options before I say the things that I say. That's what I feel. And I feel bad for him that he left.
So shout to that constituent who put that TikTok together, explaining why she thought that lost his primary. AIPAC may not have spent on those other two primary candidates like they did against Bowman. You have to take that into account as well. Yeah, they're going to spend their money however they feel, but they're going to put forth more on people that they're really trying to beat. Right. Jamal Bowman, man, again, like I said, we shouted out Bowman for being a real dude. Like some of the things that he said and some of the things that he stood for. I didn't know that he wasn't in favor of the infrastructure bill. What's your thoughts on Jamal Bowman?
It obviously was a surprise. I hit you with it early. As soon as I got it, I hit you with it and said we need to discuss it. Initially, I was leaning more towards the fact that an Israeli-backed group primarily were the ones who spent a lot of money as far as advertising against him in a primary. If you spend $14 million in advertising in a primary, it's serious business. It's tricky when dealing with Jews, Israelis, and Zionists, right? Because an Israeli can be any person who's a citizen of the state of Israel, right? Anybody, any color, any religion, blah, 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 so on and so forth. A Jew can be anybody who follows Judaism, right? And a Zionist, obviously, we know is a completely different thing. So when you criticize Israel as a whole, you run into the problem of offending all three of them at the same time. You know what I mean? So I think that's his error, or maybe his lack of specificity, to go ahead and say, hey, listen, I'm not supporting the Zionist portion of the Israeli government that is causing the problems with Hamas. I'm not anti-Jewish. I'm not anti-Israeli. I'm just anti-Zionist. And that's why it's important to know who you're talking about when you're discussing issues, because if you generalize, like all the blacks, if you generalize into a big bucket, there's going to be divisions. There's going to be specifications. There's going to be divergence off of that. So I think that his error was that, not being more specific as far as that was concerned. Because in his area, I'm sure there are people who are of the Jewish faces, Jewish. There's a large Jewish population that they have up there. who are clear, who will understand him taking an anti-Zionist stand as opposed to an anti-Israeli stand. You know what I mean? I think that may have been a better way for him to approach it. And if I was to ever approach an Israel-centric issue, I would always approach it from those three angles. I would always look at it from those three angles: as a Jew, as a state of Israel, and as a Zionist, because they're three completely different things.
Jamal was a fire and brimstone type dude, man. Whenever you heard him on the microphone, he was freaking fire. You know what I mean? He was definitely speaking with his convictions. It's sad to see that he lost his primary. We know why that he lost his primary. And a lot of it had to do with us not supporting, not a lot of us getting out there and voting. Again, votes have consequences. This new Democrat who's going to take his seat eventually, we don't know what type of program he's on. Not to say that we knew everything Bowman was about, but again, it just goes to show, man, that voting is a serious thing, man. And from the way I look at it, we lost an ally with Bowman being out of there now.
Great, we lost a voice.
Yeah, exactly. So as we continue on, man, please share, subscribe, and comment down low, and hit that notification bell, man. So when this soup is hot, you can get it right off the stove, and get it into your soul, man, because we are that nutrients for your soul, man. As we continue on, as we talk about nutrients, we want to talk about Mr. Bill Gates. I don't know if the soup is familiar with what Mr. Bill Gates has got going on right now. We all know Bill Gates for Microsoft and super rich and throwing around his influence. But Bill Gates has been quietly buying up a whole lot of farmland. So let's do this, man. Let's take a look and see what type of moves Mr. Bill Gates has been making these last couple months.
Bill Gates has been gobbling up land for years now. He's actually one of the largest private farmland owners in the United States, with over 270,000 acres across multiple states.
In 2020, Bill Gates made headlines for becoming the largest private farmland owner in the US.
But China's got Bill beat by a long shot. They own around 384,000 acres of agricultural land in the United States, land which collectively was worth north of $2.2 billion when they bought it.
In addition to this land that they're buying up, they've also bought the nation's largest pork processing plant. They're buying up grain mills.
There are a lot of different places to park your money if you're a billionaire and you want to invest in real estate, although typically you hear about these types buying penthouses in Manhattan, mega mansions in California, or if they want some cash flow, maybe they'll buy into a real estate investment trust that owns property like multifamily, office, or medical space. But there's a whole separate subset of billionaires who are picking up land as their preferred asset class.
America is enormous. Yet 100 of the richest and largest private landowners in America own 1.86% of all the land available in the United States.
Along with Bill Gates in China, we've also got Jeff Bezos, who owns around 420,000 acres. There's Stan Kroenke, a real estate and sports mogul with a portfolio of around 1.6 million acres. There's the TV producer Ted Turner. He's got 2 million acres. And we've got John Malone, a telecommunications expert who owns 2.2 million acres of land, over twice the size of Rhode Island. My question is, what's the reason for buying a bunch of farmland in America, especially if you're not a farmer? And why are people like Bill Gates and, even more alarming, countries like China choosing to park so much money into agricultural property out here? Farmland has always been an essential part of America's economy, culture, and way of life. And for centuries, people have worked the land to grow crops, raise animals, and feed their families.
I smoked my watermelon before I cut it, and it's like...
The fuck?
You lost sound.
Does anybody has
Oh, I see it.
a watermelon like this?
Oh my God.
That's the craziest thing I've ever seen.
There are dozens of videos where people buy watermelon from the supermarket and it looks strange. Sometimes it looks like plastic, Sometimes it makes these weird noises, and sometimes, many times actually, it feels as if it's made out of rubber.
So I cut watermelon for my kids, and they're all bringing it right back, saying they don't like the texture. And I've seen enough videos of people posting rubbery watermelon. I can't believe I got one. I got a rubbery watermelon. The texture is so weird.
You see, she got the woo signal back there.
Bend it far before it will break.
But it wasn't just rubbery. There was something else about the watermelon that was bothering a lot of people.
Okay, y'all. I threw this watermelon out over a week ago. It smelled really good. Bought it from Walmart. Cut it open, and it was like plastic. Tasting was absolutely horrible. I didn't really know what to do with it, so I threw it outside. This is a week later. It looks like like mud. What's going on?
It was pretty obvious that there was something off about the watermelon, and a lot of people were noticing it. But here's the thing. It wasn't just the watermelons.
God damn.
People were also noticing the same thing happening with avocados, blueberries, bananas, and the list goes on.
We got it from the supermarket, but when she opens it and she breaks it in half, it gets very tough and doesn't really
Why
break.
is it not breaking in half?
And when it pulls, it's like it's glue.
Wow.
It's very it looks very fake and Play-Doh.
In this next video, Ari Osborne explains how she bought blueberries in the supermarket. When she gave it to her kid, she noticed that one of them looked like it was made out of rubber. Check this out.
It's left in her little bowl, and I put it down the drain for the garbage disposal. And I push the button, it's doing its thing, but there's a clanking, and it sounds like something's stuck. So I go in the drain, and there's a blueberry that's not breaking apart. It's not. I pick it up, and
wow.
is there a rubber blueberry in my toddler's snack?
She cut it in half, and it actually looks as if it's made out of silicone or something like that. Strange, isn't it? But it gets even stranger. In this next video, a woman tests out the food in the supermarket using a magnet, and this is what happens.
Look at this shit. Put a magnet that I got from here into the great chicken. Let's try first.
Oh, hell no.
After these videos were posted and became a viral sensation, it made a lot of people ask the same question. Are we possibly eating fake food? What's your take?
First of all, you don't want to do any type of seedless fruit, first of all.
Ever.
You definitely don't want to get seedless watermelon and stuff like that. Definitely want your fruit to have seeds in it. UH, man, you see this now. It's quite eye-opening. And we here on the Soup, man, we are not conspiracy theorists. You know what I'm saying? But we are going to pay attention to things that are going on out here in this world. And you look at that cut up I just showed you of those people with the flimsy bend back food and all of that. Do we need to start growing our own food in the backyard? Yeah.
I do agree with that. The one thing I do like about Atlanta is that they've got several small farms in the Black community. We've actually got one around the corner from my house that you can buy.
Neighborhood.
Nice. Little neighborhood farms that people grow in their backyard. I've got enough land to do something back there, but I'm not with it. We've got one around the corner, actually from my house at the Southwest Community Center that you can do the Southwest Community Arts Center that you can buy a little, so you can rent a little plot and grow some stuff back there.
Neighborhood gardens, similar to what Jesus was doing. And what's the name of this shit, Lord? I forget the name of it. Black Jesus, right? They was doing the neighborhood garden, but they was growing trees.
No doubt.
Yeah,
I can see that too.
We all need to start purposing the neighborhood garden because that shit is serious, right?
Yeah, serious, man. And you know what's different is that we generally, honestly, when I go shopping and I buy meat, I go all the way to the farmer's market. That's how I tore my car up the other week, because I go to the farmer's market because I know if I'm going to eat some meat, and I know meat all the time isn't the healthiest thing, I don't want it. It's going to sit in your body for a certain amount of time, depending on what it is. I at least want to make sure that it's real. You know what I mean? The good thing when you go there, they've got the fresh fruits, they've got the real vegetables. So all those things can be taken care of. But you have to take into consideration that this is a place that is not near the hood. There are a lot of people who live in food deserts who can't afford to eat quality foods. Or they just live close to a Walmart, and Walmart's the cheapest thing, or they don't have the money for food because of inflation or whatever the case may be. They are forced to eat things like this. The best thing that I would suggest is that if you see people who are the richest amongst the world, they know there are three things that everybody needs: food, clothes, and shelter, right? Those are the three things that everybody needs. You see that the venture capital companies are buying up all the real estate. Yep. You see the billionaires buying up the land so that they can produce the food. And clothes are obviously just an illusion to a certain extent to project a certain lifestyle on people. And you see who's become the richest man in the world because of that, the guy from Louis Vuitton. So, it's very interesting that besides, I think Elon Musk, I think he beat Elon Musk or something like that. Anyway, but it's very interesting that these things are coming to the forefront, man. And the best thing that I can suggest for anybody is to go to your nearest farmer's market. That's probably going to be the best food. It may be a little bit more expensive, but that's going to be the best thing that you can put into your body, into your kids' bodies. If you have one, go there or find one of those marketplaces on Saturday. Drive out to the country, get you some fresh chickens. We can see people actually take it to the chicken. You know what I mean? Go to a butcher, things like that. It may sound crazy, man, but at this point, when people are getting plastic bananas and watermelon and foam avocados, man, absolutely not, man. Spend that extra money if you care about yourself.
But yeah, also, P, before I let you weigh in on Bill Gates and fake food, even on Whole Foods, man, even in Whole Foods, they're showing in the packaging that these vegetables and different things are coming from China. You know what I'm saying? So you can't just say, "Oh, I shop at Whole Foods."
Don't matter.
You got to pay attention and be on point about your God degree right about now, man. Lord, Bill Gates and fake food, yo.
Yo, and shout out to Amanda Seals, because she be like, my mom be knowing. Yo, my mom be knowing, B. She told me about this a couple years ago.
Yeah, my mom did too.
She was like, listen, boy, if you see a sticker that says appeal on it, that's from Bill Gates' farm. She was like, don't buy it. So I'm telling anybody, APEL sticker on fruit, any organic fruit, don't buy it. It's 56%, what is it? Citric acid. But the rest of it, 99.34%, is unknown. And it tells you that it's unknown. So everything that you just saw, that Fro just showed us with the fruit that looks like plastic and this, that, and the third, that's the unknown. You know what I mean? So appeal, don't buy it. Now, when it comes to, Don was saying, he has like almost 300,000 acres of farmland. So he can control the prices of the fruit and whatever the organic vegetables that he's putting in supermarkets and the distribution of it. So it's almost like a God complex. He's trying to control what you eat. And if you don't pay attention to what you're eating, that stuff that's not going to digest in your system properly. You can end up somewhere laid out. So watch your God degree. You got to watch what you put in your body, man. Look for those appeal stickers, man.
That's a fact, man. And to me, for people to be trying to make their own food and it's not healthy for you and it has plastic and different things of that nature in it, man, that's straight savagery. You being a savage at the end of the day. And as we continue on this episode of The Soup, man, please share, subscribe, and comment down low and hit that notification bell so that you can get this soup while it's hot. Now, as we continue and we continue to talk about savages, there were some savages down in West Virginia, fucking hillbillies down in West Virginia who adopted some African-American children You know what I'm gonna do is this. I'm gonna let the tape speak for itself. Here we go.
This story out of West Virginia is a true nightmare. A white couple is accused of using their black adopted children as slaves, locking them in a barn and forcing them to perform farm labor. Donald Ray Lance and Jean K. Whitefeather were initially arrested in October following a wellness check during which authorities found 2 of the couple's 5 adopted children locked in a shed on their property.
What the
Authorities
fuck?
said the shed only had a small porta potty and no running water. A 14-year-old boy was reportedly found with open sores on his bare feet. The kids told authorities they were forced to sleep on the concrete floor without a mattress or padding. In court, Whitefeather claimed that the shed was a teenage clubhouse and the children locked inside. The couple's
Slave
indictment alleged they specifically targeted the black children and forced them to work because of their race. Joe, what the hell?
So there you have it. Husband and wife from West Virginia adopt 5 black children and then chain a few of them up in a quote unquote clubhouse. No running water, no plumbing, no bathroom. What type of people would do this? How can you, those people, man, my mind is scrambled, right? Let me get my thoughts together. And here, I want to say that these people should be locked up for life. You know, I'm not a proponent of the death penalty in situations, but these people, they need to be doing hard time for this. Hard time, man. At least 10 to 15 off top.
Slave labor.
P, when you saw this story, what goes through your mind, man?
I think it's sick and twisted. I think it's people who feel like they're just white supremacists, indoctrinated to a point where they feel like they can have slaves. Now, there were 5 total, right? Children, and 2 were in the, so what, they have 3 in the house? What were the kids doing in the house? Were they house slaves? Were they
I
all
just want to
black?
say, well, they were probably light skinned.
They were light skinned. You know what I mean? House as an adult person, how could you subject a child to that? What kind of sick person are you? Like you said, I hope they actually get as much time as possible. But while they're in jail, they should be doing some slave type labor. You subject some kids to something like that. That is ridiculous. And I'm not a proponent of the death penalty either, but in this situation, man, I don't know if I'm swaying towards it. But no, I'm not a proponent of the death penalty. But there should be some hard labor going on while they're locked up, because this is just ridiculous, man. And whoever tries to defend this, they need to get locked up too. Fuck out of here.
In this case, should we now start examining interracial adoptions? Should we be taking a long, hard look at allowing just anyone to be able to adopt a child?
That's a good question.
Is it something that we as a people, we should start taking a hard look at this due to this?
I think we should. And actually, we covered this a few pods ago when we talked about the MMA fighter who was talking about he was raising his black kids as just human. And obviously, there are distinctions that come along with, and nuances that come along with being black, as there are nuances, I'm sure, that come along with being white or Hispanic or Asian or any other type of ethnicity.
Oh, we don't get into those nuances about being white next.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's different that in American society, by the way things are, it is extremely difficult for someone to raise someone who's of a different race, not ethnic group, but of a different race, to raise someone and understand where they're coming from. So, because their challenges are so unique. I work with Mexicans on a daily basis, and probably Hispanics on a daily basis, and I had to learn their nuances, the way that they laugh, the way that they eat, the way that they celebrate, the way that they do things differently from the way that we do it. They had to learn that even though I like eating chicken every day, that's not all black people eat. But you have to really have those conversations. So there are certain nuances that come along with being members of a particular race that can't be covered by people of other races. And it's always best, I think, in America to have them raised by people who are like them so they can be better prepared and more balanced citizens.
Yeah, it's a fine line with that because you want to give a child the opportunity to be loved. That's what all children really want is
Right.
to be loved, right?
Good point.
And in this situation, there was no love there in that household. If anything, those people adopted those children for this sole
purpose,
to have them do the chattel slavery that they had them put through. Again, we want to go back to Project 2025. There would be no Food, Drug, and Administration if Agent Orange gets into the office. So we would definitely be eating some crazy ass food if food gets back into the White House. Also, the FBI or the Child Protective Services who checked on these kids, that would be something that would be done away with as well. So this is more proof to the adage that you need to vote, man, that you need to go out there and vote, not just for you, but for everybody out here who are not able to protect themselves, because those kids were not able to protect themselves at this particular point and stage in their lives. As we all know, they were children, and they will be scarred for this for the rest of their lives, man, for the rest of their lives. Who knows how long they were subjected to what those people put them through. And I'm definitely, man, going to follow this case to see what type of time these people get for this.
Is it a state charge or is it a federal charge?
I would have to believe that it's a state charge.
Okay.
And I'll research that, and in the next episode I'll give some more feedback on that, because we're definitely going to pay attention to see what happens to these two savages, because as I said, 10 to 15 off top is what they need to be looking at. Send his ass to a max and send her ass to a woman's max. You know what I mean? So, and let everybody know what they in for, so they can handle what they need to handle. You know what I'm saying? And I speak for the soup, and we praying for those kids, man, that they have some type of closure on this, man, and they're able to move on and get past this, man.
Right. Type of normalcy in their lives, yeah.
Crazy, man. That's straight up and down savagery. You know,
wicked, man. Wicked.
As we continue on the soup, man, we're gonna go to a lighter topic, but it's still a serious topic. And as I mentioned earlier, that we're going to talk about this next nuance. And what I'm talking about is JJ Redick. Don's crew hired a new crew chief this week by the name of Mr. J. White Privilege Redick. So JJ, in his introductory interview, matter of fact, I'm not even going to say it. I'm going to show it to y'all and let y'all know how this cat is living. So let's get into it.
First of all, happy birthday. Second of all, what misconceptions or concerns about you that you've heard in the last few weeks are you most looking forward to dispelling when you're the coach?
It's a valid question, and I've certainly heard everything. It's been a really interesting 6 weeks or so, just in terms of being part of the engagement farming industry. It's been really interesting. However, I don't really have a great answer for your question because I really don't give a honestly.
What?
I want to coach. I want to coach the team. I don't want to dispel anything. I don't. I want to become a great coach in the NBA, and I want to win championships, and I want my players to maximize their careers. That's all I fucking care about.
Wow. Another F-bomb?
Oh, yeah. That's your new head coach. I call him Draper, Madman. That's what I call him. He thinks he's fucking Don Draper. So your coach, do you think that Monty Williams in his introductory press conference could go up there and say, or would go up there and say, I don't give a fuck? Do you think DeMarco Ryans, the head coach, the Houston Texans, will go up in his introductory press conference and drop the F-bomb as if he's saying thank you or excuse me, man? Jay Reddick, UH.
It's different because I'm a Lakers fan, a genuine Lakers fan. I can't front on it. And that's why it's interesting that you keep on poking me with this shit. But it's okay. I'm going to talk about it. You know what I'm saying? But since I'm a historian, I like to look at myself as a historian. Let's back up a little bit. Let's go back to J.J. Reddick, the subject at hand. He's from Duke. I'm a UNC guy. Period. I always have been, always will be. Anybody who knows me, I used to have a flag flying outside my house. I got the shot glass. I went there for vacation. My cousin graduated from there. I stayed in dorms. I'm a real live UNC fan. So fuck JJ and fuck Duke. As we move along down into the more recent events, I see he's got to peep them a couple of times. As a matter of fact, I enjoyed his show because the way he broke basketball down, the way he got a chance to really, because of the fact that he was so new out of the NBA, he had relationships with players that were still currently in the NBA. You got a chance to hear from Spencer Dunwoody. You got a chance to hear from Jalen Brunson. You got a chance to hear from these people early on because he was, like I said, just recently retired from the league. So I enjoy that. Now then ESPN brought him on and he became the analytics guy. Everything is numbers and a positive plus minus and all this type of stuff, which is cool. Science is going to make his way into basketball at some point or another. Then you see him get on. He's a mainstay on the show, and then you see him get a show with LeBron. Now he's doing what? Now he's feeling himself. Like, just think about it. In the last 2 years, this dude went from a professional basketball player to a podcast with the most popular player in the world, right? Who obviously is a coach killer and a coach controller, right? The Lakers have an open coach spot. Why not start a podcast with JD to feature what he knows about basketball and feature the chemistry between him and LeBron? So yeah, okay, we saw that coming. But you have to remember, fuck Duke, fuck JJ Redick, because of the fact that he brought that rich white boy privilege that he wears, and he doesn't even have to say it. JJ Redick's like his name should be Ian Harrington or some shit like that, really, or Chad Pennington.
John Draper.
Yeah, I mean, he looks like a smug ass white boy. You know what I'm saying? So, fuck Duke, fuck J. Redick. I love the Lakers, but there's no way in the world that what's the dude Adrian Griffin would have got away with that in his initial press conference. There's no way in the world that the coach from Houston would have got away with that in his initial press conference. There's no way in the world punk ass Joe Mazzulla would have got away with that in his press conference. And he's only half black or Italian or Sicilian or something. I don't know what the fuck he got.
No edge up, Mazzulla.
Yeah, but he still wouldn't got it. He too dark to get on there. Fuck Jay, fuck Duke.
Shout out to Joe Mazzulla, man, for the championship. And his wisdom is black. So extra shout out to Joe Mazzulla.
Joe Mazzulla, let me give you a lineup one time.
Let me ask you this, Lord. Did Jay reach into his inside suit pocket and slam his white privilege card down on the table?
He slammed that shit down like it was a draw 4, color white, motherfucker. And the color's white. Ooh. Yeah, man, it's I don't know. It's crazy, the manipulation in the league. We're going to get to that later on, too, that some people have. They have the power to do certain things. But what did Jay Redick do to deserve the position as the Lakers head?
The Lakers?
This ain't the Pelicans, man. This is the Lakers, man. This is a storied franchise. What did he do to deserve the position? Why isn't, like I texted you guys earlier in the week, why the fuck did Sam Cassell not even get a look? A champion. You know what I'm saying? A championship assistant coach. I think Sam's been an assistant for almost 13 years. A champion as a player, a champion as a coach. He ain't even get a look. He ain't get a look because he ain't taking none of LeBron bullshit. That's why he ain't get a look. This is cronyism at its finest, man. This is LeBron's boy. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I don't know if LeBron is on some power shit or if he watch Power, but this is his motherfucking Tommy. You think you ghost LeBron? Nigga, you ain't ghost and he ain't Tommy. But this is what he trying to, you know what I'm saying? This is what he trying to do. He reminds me a lot of him and Jay-Z are cool. LeBron and Jay-Z, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? it's like, you know what the majority of the country is looking for. You know what I'm saying? So you're going to add that little white spice to your life. You know what I mean? To make sure you still got them right under your, under your wing a little bit. There's politics involved in it, I think. You know what I'm saying? Because LeBron ain't stupid. And JJ's white privilege shows. How you going to get up there, man, your first press conference and drop 2 F-bombs? Come on, man. Really? There's no way any of us could have did that, man. We've been out on our ass quick.
Speaking for myself, I'm not a fan of Jay Redick, and it's not just because he went to Duke. It's just I don't like smug cats. And this guy Jay Redick, listening to him on TV and different things and talk, he said he disrespected the older generation of NBA players when he was saying that they were firemen,
plumbers,
plumbers. And rest in peace to Jerry West, because Jerry West was like, man, who was JJ Redick?
What did you do?
He was a run around, catch and shoot player. That was one of his takes that I didn't appreciate. And again, he's a LeBron James acolyte as well. Right. So he's of the ilk that LeBron is the greatest ever. And coincidentally, now he's LeBron's coach because he's championing LeBron being the greatest ever. So once you start championing that he's the greatest ever, and the other eras like the 80s and the 90s, they really couldn't hoop in those eras, and they damn sure couldn't hoop way back when Jerry West and Bill Russell was playing, because they were janitors and policemen and different things of that nature. JJ Redick is the poster child of white privilege. They'll try to say, oh, Doc Rivers came right out of the booth. Oh, Mark Jackson didn't have any experience. But the thing is this, you look at the jobs that Doc and Mark Jackson got that Golden State job when Golden State wasn't any good.
T-Rack.
You know what I'm saying? Doc got the Orlando job when Orlando was no good. We're talking about one of
the Lakers.
The one of the biggest franchises in the NBA.
Sports, yeah.
With the Lakers. And this guy is coming in from coaching his son's U team to coming in, sitting in front of everybody in his introductory podcast, and then just goes and just drops fuck like it's, saying good job. And again, I don't see him being successful because I don't believe his attitude is going to allow him to be successful.
He's too thin-skinned. Yeah.
Not only is he too thin-skinned, he thinks too highly of himself. Like he's above this or he's above that. And I can't wait to see how it plays out with JJ Redick and the Lakers. Now, the Lakers were in the news for other things besides hiring this jackass as a coach. They drafted with the 55th pick LeBron James Jr. LeBron James Jr. Let's take a look at that.
Ronnie James.
Because first thing everybody is going to say, oh, you a hater, right? Oh, you hating on this or you hating on that. You look at that, they have the draft party for him. And it's like, why even go through the motions like that? Y'all know who going to pick him. Y'all knew who was going to pick him. And for him to sit up there and be like, oh, God, yes. It's like you knew who was going to be drafting you. What? It's not the same a sense of accomplishment as those other guys who didn't know who was going to be drafting them and they get drafted. You knew a month and a half ago, 6 months ago, probably a year ago, who was going to draft you and who you were going to be playing with. Before I turn it over to you, let me just say this, man. We never heard Bronny say that I want to play with my dad, because we just now hearing him say anything, right? For the longest, this has been LeBron's dream to play with his son. We heard it from first. I want to play with my son, like Ken Griffey Jr. did with Ken Griffey Sr., right? At the end of the day, LeBron, this still is not going to bring you any closer in the GOAT conversation, my guy. You playing with your son is not adding to you being closer in the GOAT conversation. What's your thoughts on LeBron James Jr. being a Laker? And nothing before you answer that, let me put it to you like this. Would Kobe Bean go for this? Would this even be going down if Kobe Bean was still great?
I got 2 things to say about that. First of all, I got 3 quick things to say about that. First of all, I'm surprised that Rob Pelinka and JJ Redick are in the same room together because I thought they was the same person. But
you got a great point there.
I'm glad to see they're the same guy, man. You know what I mean? Secondly, from the point of view where for little Bronny got himself in the league, he doesn't look like NBA talent to me. Now, I'm no talent scout. I'm no basketball expert, but I've been watching basketball for longer than him and his daddy have been alive, right? And I'm sure since the 70s, I've been watching basketball. But he doesn't impress me as an NBA talent. Now, he might surprise me. You know what I mean? He might have an incredible work ethic, have an incredible skill set, and just go with it. And I hope he does. I hope anybody who gets to that point with that level of competition in that league is successful. I don't care who you are. But the whole setup for him to be with his dad, I just think it's forced. I just really think the whole thing is forced. You know what I mean? I don't think it's nepotism. You got the Collinsworths on NBC. You got the examples. Somebody else I was saying about too had some nepotism jumping on. You got 45 of his sons. You got all kinds of stuff happening with people and their children. You got Al Michaels, and you got what's his name? What's my guy? Marvin, his sons. So you do see that, and you see the industry as well. So I'm not tripping on the nepotism part. I just don't think that he is an NBA caliber talent at this time. And that's all I'm saying. I'm not knocking the Lakers for drafting a second-round pick. We didn't lose nothing to get him. It's interesting that Rich Paul was called around telling people not to draft him or they faced the wrath. So that shows you the type of inside job it was to a certain extent. But I wish him success. I just really don't see where he was NBA talent. I just don't see it. It's nothing against him, nothing against his pops. Clearly, this wouldn't happen if the Mamba was around. Clearly, Jay Redick wouldn't have happened if Jerry West wasn't around. But you just got to take it and roll with it. You got to take it and roll with it. And like I said, hopefully the young man is successful, not only because he's a Laker, but because there's a lot of expected of him.
We all knew this was going to happen as soon as LeBron said that this is what he wanted. As I have been listening and watching people's takes on this whole situation, they said LeBron James Jr., Bronny, was the first person ever to make the McDonald's team averaging below 20 points. He averaged 14 points in high school. So he's been given carte blanche from the time that he's picked up the ball and started to play. Shout out to LeBron for being able to wield the power that he had. No question about that, because we've sat back and watched Europeans wield their power and use nepotism throughout. You named it, the Collinsworths, the Alberts, Iron Eagle and his son. The list goes on and on. But again, it doesn't make it right for just say Bron has the power now to use his nepotism. That it don't make it right, because listen, all of us work, right? We all work for a living and we all have a boss. If our boss came in and put his child, who doesn't have the background that we have, but puts him in our position or in a position higher than us, we're going to have an issue with that. We're going to be like, yo, what the fuck? At the end of the day, yeah, it's cool for him to have that power, but it doesn't make it any more right because he's a black man and has that power. Because that 55th pick, that was a 55th pick that somebody deserving didn't get. because of LeBron. They showed his teammate. They put up a stat of his teammate, and I'm going to show it. He averaged like 15 points and something like that, and didn't get drafted. And this kid averages 4.5 and got drafted. Nepotism, LeBron James, Bronny James.
Man, you took the words right out of my mouth, man. When it comes to nepotism and living in America, it's like the American way. You know what I'm saying? And I'm torn as a dad. You know what I'm saying? Would I do this for my son? You know what I'm saying? If I had the opportunity to open a door for him to be in the position to be in the NBA, if I was in the NBA, I'm like, wow, would I do that? And I probably would, because it's my son. What else am I going to do? I think the real issue comes down to he wouldn't be in the league, Bronny, if it wasn't for his father. It's just that simple. LeBron manipulated him to be in the league. Now, that happens on a regular basis in this country with white America. So this is when I get back to the shut up and dribble. I think a lot of people have a problem with a black man being able to manipulate a system for his son, because LeBron is obviously a black guy, and they don't want that. They don't want to see that. The NBA is full of nepotism, from the executives down to the scouts. But now that he's doing it, there's a problem. Again, right from wrong, definitely is wrong for him to do that. And it would be wrong for me to do it, because like you said, Fro, it's taken from a spot from a kid who is probably better than Bronny at this point. But LeBron's not thinking about anyone but his legacy and his kid. And like you said, that legacy isn't going to make him be the best player ever, but he wants to play with his son. And this is America. What did Trump do when he got in the White House? He got his whole everybody.
Put his family right and places of power. There's no question about that. And
that's not right, though.
No, it's definitely not right. And that was put to me, just like you said about my son. Would I do that for my son? And as I told my sister, I said, of course I'm going to look out for my son, but at the same time, I'm not going to put him in a position that he can't handle. I'm not just going to put him at general manager and I know he can't handle that position. That would be wrong for him to be put in that position in order to fail. Now,
is it more about you, or is it more about your son? And with LeBron, it's more about him playing with the son. Like you said, I think Rich Paul was saying that Bronny just wants to play in the NBA. He don't need it because they rich. He wants it. It doesn't have to be with his father though, but his father wants to play with him. Bronny was like, either I'll go overseas if I don't go to Phoenix or to the Lakers. I just want to play. But his father is putting him in a position of pressure. That's a lot of pressure to deal with, man, for that kid, man. He's still a child, you know?
Right. He didn't
put that much pressure on him. That's a lot.
He's been dealing with that pressure since he got out on the court of being LeBron James' son. At the same time, just because he wants to go to the NBA, that don't mean shit. I want to go to the NBA too.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? That don't mean that I should go there. And what would have been so wrong with him staying in school and working on his game and actually becoming a true drafty?
That's not LeBron's plan. It's all about LeBron's plan, fam. He's about to be 40. He can't wait. So it's putting too much pressure on his son, man. And that's not a good thing at all.
And that's my thoughts. It was never what his son want. And again, maybe his son did tell him, Dad, I want anything in this world. What I would want to do is to be able to play with you in the NBA one time. We've not, even to this day, have you heard Bronny say, man, my dream was to play in the NBA with my dad? He still has not actually came out and verbalized that to the world. It's always been LeBron saying that. I want to be the first person in the NBA to play with his son. Again, this is, like you said, P, this is going towards his legacy.
He about to get that work with you on the court. Boys are working.
What Don even said on Facebook earlier in the week, he might be going to the G League quick. You know
he ain't going to the G League because, boy, Rich Paul said he wasn't going to sign a two-way contract, which would be that he would go to the G League.
Oh, wow.
He's G League talent.
Oh, wow.
He's not going. He's going to be playing.
Giannis. He about to be Giannis.
He is going off. He is going to be playing.
Because JJ Redick is the coach.
Giannis brother comes in when the games is fucking over.
He's going to get work. If he comes in,
he's coming out there. He's coming out there to play when his daddy is on the court.
Listen, if he get out there and he got Kyrie Irving, he got James Harden, Steph Curry, man, they're gonna cook this dude for dinner. This is the last time I say about it. This is my theory.
As a Laker fan.
As a Laker fan, I think that what he's doing is Bron got him in the league so that he can go ahead and play with him for a year or two. Then when he's established himself as a player, as a good enough player, hopefully he can be the anchor / franchise player for the Vegas squad that they're gonna give LeBron once he retires. That's what I'm thinking. I think LeBron trying to work him up to that point where he's a big enough star to be like, okay, well, we're gonna put the Vegas star, we can put the Vegas franchise on your back. That's what I think is going. That's what I think is going to happen. I smoked a lot of weed and debated over this with myself.
Bronny ain't good enough to be no leagues, be a team.
But 3-4 years from now, you never know. You never know.
They'll definitely be the Washington Generals if he is of the team.
What is he, bro? 6'1", maybe?
Yeah, 6'2", pushing 6'2".
He would have to be a tremendous scorer because they're gonna have to hide him on defense. That's just I don't know.
Steph Curry, you have to be a Steph Curry.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
that's a hell of a wannabe. Steph is generational.
It's one thing we can say, man. They're gonna have all eyes on them when the season from their punk ass coach to LeBron and LeBron James Jr. So UH, man, you said that you had something that you wanted to share with the soup, man. The floor is yours. Let me pause you. Hold that thought. Let me show you some black folks before you get into your dissertation one time. Hold tight.
Oh, what the hell? Oh.
From Sexy Red, Chef G, and Sleepy Hollow to Sada Baby, Icewear, Bezo, and Peasy, rap artists are shaping new sounds within hip-hop and Donald Trump's presidential campaign.
Trump will shout wins for all of us.
Now, flashy endorsements always mean more votes, but the Trump campaign has been using new artists at its events to help court young voters of color.
He might be the first person to make me vote.
Rappers have backed Trump before, but more have joined him in the past few years. When Trump was in the White House, the pardons of Kodak Black and Lil Wayne led both artists to publicly support him. And for some voters, that support's a big deal.
Yo, growing up, I listened to 50 Cent. I used to hear Donald Trump on the mixtapes. You know what I'm saying? And to have a president that used to be in the hood clubbing with people that come from where I come from, come on, man.
The Biden campaign says it's more focused on engaging with voters directly than it is on endorsements. But that hasn't stopped the White House from participating in events like this.
Wow, y'all give it up one more time for Quavo and the Vice President of the United States of America.
Oh, baby, we love Trump. We need him back.
So, our people, the black rappers, all of those rappers, man, they're young folks. And that's who we're trying to reach and trying to bring into the fold are the youngins, man. Because they easily led astray, as we see there with this guy who's going to vote for the first time and is going to be for Trump. And then you got this guy believing that Donald Trump was in the club with 50 Cent. It's like, what the hell? What the hell?
Yeah, man. No, absolutely fucking not. There's no way in the world that we should be supporting this guy under any circumstances. I don't care who says it. Literally, Puffy could walk into my living room right now and be like, yo, you know what I'm saying? OJ Simpson, any other the people that I've discussed that I've had more of a neutral and or positive slight towards opinion towards at one time or another. There's nobody as far as the entertainment sphere that can persuade me to vote for 45. That's just not an option for me. The younger people probably need to be more educated on it because of the fact that the only thing they remember about Trump is what? Stimulus. That's all they remember. They don't remember COVID. They don't remember the nonsense that was happening before. They don't remember not all the craziness, not having a job and the white supremacy. They just remember stimulus checks, which is neither here nor there. But that's what the young people are like saying, oh, the money was flowing when Trump was around. But people were dying and nobody was going to work. So you have to understand, take into the whole scope of Trump. But when there are people who only understand success in capitalistic means, you're gonna have people coming out speaking for their interests with the ultimate capitalist. I'll let D speak and then I'll come back.
Lord, these young rappers, these young whippersnappers. Trump was in the club with 50 Cent.
We just a drive-through microwave internet society, man. Just sound bite here, like here, just that and the third. It's like when young people see or hear certain things, they take it as it is. They don't do any research. They don't look at the history of why people are saying what they're saying. There's no way obviously Trump wasn't in the club with 50, but 50 obviously mentioned Trump. Raekwon mentioned Trump. You know what I'm saying? It's just
got a song called about Trump.
They just mention it because of his capitalistic ways. It has nothing else to do with nothing but that, or the fact that he had casinos in Atlanta or Atlantic City. It's just Trump. It's just, I'm saying, there's nothing about it that breeds anything at this point of positivity. Like you were saying earlier, just now, Don, there were hospitals with trucks outside of it when he was president. He was trying to cut Social Security. Like he was trying to cut healthcare, but nobody thinks about that stuff because they got a check that was from the government that was approved by Democrats that he stamped his name on. He was like, oh, he didn't even want you to have the stimulus.
Exactly.
But because it went through, he was like, since it went through, let me stamp my name on it. So when people see it, it says Trump. But these kids don't, man. That's why you got to sit them down and be like, listen, A, B, C, D. Listen to what I'm trying to tell you. Don't just go on sound bites and people that are on TikTok. They give you all kind of misinformation and shit.
Listen, I got a letter from the government the other day. I opened and read it and said they were suckers. You know what I'm saying? But listen, man, the youth, they are going to pay super attention to that debate. Yeah. And that's going to be another talking point. Now, Don, you had something that you wanted to say to the soup before we wrap. So go ahead and run it down for us one time.
Yeah, we focus a lot on the issues that directly affect our people, but we still, at the same time, we are people. We're not going to get into the mankind and man argument right now, but we are, as a whole, people, Black people, white people, Hispanics, Asians, Native Americans, all the other races that I may have omitted. And lately, for some strange reason, I've just been getting a kind of glimpse of people. Like I do a lot of traveling for my job. So I was actually down in Clayton County and I was watching a family, Black woman or a child, just out taking pictures and having fun and being mom with her child over in the cab. And I see a mom and a child. I was up and go in there and I see Hispanic people and their child. And I'm like, at the end, we're still people. And because everybody basically wants the same thing. And we all want peace and we all want prosperity. And we all want people around us to be safe. So I'm on the way to court on, I think it was maybe Wednesday. I think it was Wednesday because I was in Gwinnett. And I had to stop and get a money order for some stuff that I needed at court. No, I had to stop and get cash for something I needed at court. And I'm walking out I walked in the racetrack. I parked. I went to my usual spot, Quick Trip. The bank machine was gone, so I went to racetrack down the street. I never go down there, but I went down there. And as I'm coming out the store with the money, I see this. I got my earbuds in because I see this white lady. So I'm like, oh, is it me? Is it my lucky day? I got some time. I'm not in Gwinnett. You know what I'm saying? So I look and I'm like, what's up? I take my earbuds. Can you help me? So I go over there, man. And she's got look down and this is old white man laying on the ground.
Whoa.
Head busted open, right? Like he leaking, right? I'm like, damn, right? So she's, I don't know what happened. He must have had a stroke or a seizure and he fell out. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna help you out. So I take my earbuds, I put my earbuds in my pocket. I reach over, I'm talking to the guy, but he can't really see me. You can tell he's disorientated, right? So I'm behind him and I grabbed him grab his arm so I can lift him up. He turned and looked at me, dog. And when he saw me, he must have just
nigger.
Yeah, that was in his mind. You could see that shit was in his mind. He was scared and he was frightened, and he was confused, but he didn't know how to react because of the fact that I was doing what? I was helping him out, obviously. You know what I'm saying? But you could tell, like, this motherfucker was, he was like Joe Biden the whole time. You know what I'm saying? And so I managed to get the guy up into a seating position. You could tell he was just like the whole time, like he was frightened, like he expected me to rob him or some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? The whole time I'm helping this guy. And there were people, like I said, this is me and this blonde white lady helping this guy up, helping him get himself together. She's on the phone 911. I'm trying to position him in his truck so that he has a place to sit down. So I get him his Gatorade so he's got something to drink. You know what I mean? So, and these people are walking now. Remember, I'm in a racetrack. People are walking in and out. Some people grabbing their phones and taping me and all this type of stuff. But you know what? And people are sitting back and watching and making sure I don't run his pockets or trying to see what the hell we're into. But guess what? Nobody did.
Helped you.
Nobody offered to help. Not one person offered to help. I see the ambulance coming because, like I said, she was on the phone with 911. I see the ambulance come. I see the ambulance pull up. I'm like, yo, I gotta go to court because I gotta be there by 10:30. So I did. You know what I'm saying? And I thought about it, man, and I was just like, that's crazy, right? I just probably helped save the life of somebody who is gonna vote against my best interest.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But then again, I could have saved the life of somebody who was gonna vote against my interest, but saw that I'm just as human as they are, and or more because I helped them and changed something about them. So I say that to say, man, is that we're Black. We're always going to prioritize ourselves first, but there are other humans and people that exist with us. There's nothing wrong with being kind. There's nothing wrong with being helpful to help other people as well.
It's in our nature. We're just helpful regardless.
Let me say this. You're a good Samaritan, my man. Good Samaritan. Lord, what's the word?
The word, yeah. Listen, that was an incredible story, Don. You had me sitting on the edge of my job right there, man. You know what I'm saying? Life is tough, man. We go through a lot of obstacles with family members and losing people, and there's pain involved in that. So my suggestion is it's tough out here, man. I've lost some really close people in my life, and it's hard to get by. I know you guys have lost people also. It's just some really close people, and it's tough for me sometimes to get up and just move on. But I found out if you take your pain, you know what I'm saying, and you plant it in a field of positivity, you know what I'm saying, the fruit you grow will be some happiness at the end. You know what I'm saying? So the cup is always half full because you're still here, and while you're here, do your best to make a difference in somebody else's life, man. To piggyback on Don. You know what I'm saying? Me, myself, I don't know if I would have just looked at dude and kept it moving, but then I haven't been in that situation. So I may have helped them out. But people who were taking pictures of you doing this, that, and the third, hopefully it comes out where they show that you did something positive, man.
Yeah, man.
So, that's for men of a certain age, man. Listen, share, subscribe, man. We here for everybody, man. No doubt.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Salute, man. Again, Don, you did God's work there. You know what I mean? It's a good thing it was you, because if it would have been me.
Someone please call 911.
911. 911. You know what I mean?
Someone please call 911.
Exactly, yo. Respect to you. You better than me. Because if you would have been yelling, I might have looked at her and looked around like, who's she calling? Because you ain't calling me. I digress, man. I digress.
Yeah, I was looking extra fly, so I thought that she wanted to get with the kid one time. You know what I'm saying? But it's all good, man.
No doubt.
Don thought she was throwing it at him, huh?
Fly lavish coordination.
Let me catch that one time.
Thanks again, y'all, for tuning in to this latest episode of The Suit. It's piping hot, man. And as always, man, it's the same old soup. We just reheating it. Until next Sunday, man, peace.
Later, y'all.
Peace to my guys.
No doubt.